Always a relevant topic here, I think, is we're hearing from a lot of organizations that prices are going up, right? So vendors are raising their prices. Here's the bar in the middle where people say it's been flat, but if you look to the left of it, pretty clear that no one's really reporting that prices are going down, and the majority of people really are saying that they're going up. And it looks like the most common answer here is about 3 to 5% increases on pricing from various vendors compared to more than 6 months ago. So give me a sense of how's this looking, right? So there's just a general increase in pricing. Is that just driven by inflation, or are you seeing kind of material changes in what you're using or the number of licenses and seats? What's going on there?
So it really depends. Many agreements, Microsoft, Splunk, they have multi-year enterprise agreements where generally those costs stay flat, by
Hmm.
contract. So the 3 to 5%, I would agree with that at a net level. But the reality is that the offsets and those flat year over year costs, based on those multi-year contracts, are
Hmm.
really being offset by significant increases. And the one that I know a lot of companies, including mine, are dealing with now is VMware and
Mm.
the Broadcom acquisition. It's really shifted the licensing models to
Hmm.
a point that I think a lot of folks are going to start looking at alternatives to VMware.
Yeah, yeah, and we've heard that as well. So that acquisition, of course, has led to some major changes in pricing. We looked at the information security sector earlier because it was kind of what we were talking about at the moment, but I want to move to infrastructure software. You did mention VMware,
Mhm.
and kind of how things have changed now in the Broadcom era. Let's turn to the infrastructure software. This is where we track a couple of VMware products. We've got their VMware and then also the VMware NSX. But there's a lot of other tools that do a lot of different things here that you can see. We've got everything from ServiceNow and HashiCorp, which IBM is moving forward to buy, it seems like, as well as GitHub and GitLab and those types of things. So, give me a sense of the kinds of tools you're using in this array of areas. Maybe we'll start with VMware. So, what alternatives do you think you'll explore with VMware, and what's the timeline on that for you?
So with VMware specifically, and fortunately for us, we signed a 3-year EA with them last year.
Mm-hmm.
So we were protected, or we're somewhat protected at least for the next 2 years on the price increases.
Sure.
And that was actually executed. That agreement was executed just before the Broadcom acquisition was finalized.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but really, what our concern is, because essentially VMware has moved to two licensing models. They've got a kind of an all in, everything in the kitchen sink licensing SKU, and then they've got one that kind of pairs back, and it's just the basics from a VMware perspective. What if we had to renew today, we would be on the definitely in the expensive tier. I thought I saw like Dell VxRail. Yeah, so most of our on-premise footprint is hyper-converged Dell VxRail,
Mm-hmm.
VMware. Um, with the need for what VMware calls vSAN, we would be forced into that very high dollar SKU. And what we're evaluating now is we start to age out some of the older VX Rails. Do we just move that footprint, back to kind of a legacy 3-tier model, where you've got compute, storage in separate platforms and in entirely separate platforms. The initial kind of pricing that we did or back of the napkin math is that would be much, much more cost effective than continuing on with the hyper-converged platform, just because it would throw us into the higher tier of VMware. We had NSX, VMware NSX at one point. We never, the micro segmentation just never really took hold. It was a great concept, but we just never adopted it. So we took it off our agreement. Uh, Oracle, truthfully, we do have Oracle. From a database perspective, we
Sure.
also have their hardware, which they, years ago they kind of forced customers into.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we haven't added anything net new to Oracle in probably 10 or 12 years, and all of the programs, the internal programs that we have actively working now, are to deprecate anything that's on Oracle. it's just it's expensive. They force you into buying their proprietary hardware.
Sure.
So we're trying to really shift away from Oracle. Most of our footprint is Microsoft.
Yep.
We have a significant Red Hat footprint as well.
Hmm.
We're very close to turning off the rest of our legacy kind of IBM iSeries applications. I'm hoping this calendar year it'll all be gone. And then really what we'll be left with, at least from an on-prem standpoint, is Microsoft and Red Hat, and some Oracle, on the database, from a database standpoint. And then the other option, just getting back to your question on VMware alternatives, we've also been in contact with Google, and GCP has an offering, where they partnered with VMware. Um, and it's a much more, I think, predictable cost model.
Hmm.
Where we might be able to leverage GCP in lieu of, at least some of our on-premise VMware.